Mono Blue, the sweaty gamer, Reddit moderator color in Magic the Gathering. But despite this, I have found a way to make Mono Blue cool. How do I do this? Well, by turning stuff into the moon. What's cooler than that? It all works because of an interaction with Princess Yui, our commander. 2 and a blue, 3/2, taps to scry 2, yada yada. Mainly, when Princess Yui dies, if it's a non-land creature, return this card to the battlefield tapped under our control. They're a land named Moon, and then it taps for mana. So, how does this work? Well, if we have a clone, enter as a copy of our princess, bing bada boom, it explodes. But the triggered ability makes the clone come back to the battlefield, and because it's a clone, it enters as a copy of a creature on the battlefield. But then it turns into a moon. So it is a moon land copy of a creature, and it stops being a creature. So we just get the coolest parts of creatures that are now land. And yeah, shenanigans are going to occur. Let me just say, your friends will run land destruction because of this. It's awesome. And before we get too deep into things, if you can't already tell, I'm the most unhinged deck builder on the internet. So if you've got a weird, wacky, silly, goofy idea for a commander deck, challenge me in the comments down below. The one with the most votes, I have to build. And also, leave a like and subscribe while you're down there. Much appreciated. Now, of course, Princess Yui in the command zone. Easy enough. But we got our commanders, the Three Stooges. Mainly our opponents. They got to play stuff like Ezio, Kilo, Zimone. So we can always have our moons come back as a copy of them. So then we have their commander. Then that's double the commander, right? Because then we have a clone version of Zimone as a moon. Now, you got to be aware, we only get one legendary moon because it doesn't stop being legendary, unfortunately. So we got to, only use one legendary moon. But I digress. We're mainly going to use that on the stuff that's best for us. Sometimes we can just clone their commanders with our clone instead of doing the whole clone and then make it into a moon. I digress. Arcanus is awesome because if we have Arcanus, then we have a moon clone copy of him that just taps to draw 3, and it's a land. So we could just tap for mana, or we can tap and draw 3 pretty repeatably. And then we also still have the regular Arcanus hanging around, and we can tap him, and then we draw 6. That's pretty cool. We also got Kitesail Larcenist. I love this card. 2 and a blue, enters the battlefield. For each player, we get a little imprisoned in the moon. Basically, we turn their thing into a treasure token while Kitesail Larcenist is on the battlefield. But what if we have a clone ditto moon version of Kitesail Larcenist? Now it's a land that's a way harder to remove to turn off the thing that's making them into treasures. And then it's basically like we could just keep imprisoning things under the Kitesail Larcenist that's also a moon that taps for mana and turns their stuff into treasure, imprisoning more stuff in the moon. This is awesome and sick. I found a way to make blue cool. You're welcome. It's the moon stuff, doing a lot of moon stuff. That's what this deck is all about, all right? Just like Gru and Despicable Me, we're going to be doing the moon. It's all about stealing the moon because stealing is the moon. Anyway, the moon steals you. What about that? Have you ever experienced that? Well, we got Mind Flayer. 3 blue, comes in, gain control of any target creature for as long as we control Mind Flayer. Same thing with Sower of Temptation, gain control of target creature as long as it's on the battlefield. We got Agent of Treachery, gain control of target permanent, so we can just steal their land. That's pretty funny. Then if we have 3 or more permanents we don't own, draw 3 cards on our end step. How crazy would it be if those were clone moon copies that you can't actually destroy unless you have land destruction? Yeah, awesome. Especially the Agent of Treachery. That thing's sick. But of course, the most evil option of all is got to be Royal Elemental. All right? 3 blue, so 6 mana total, but we got a lot of moons that tap for mana, so genius. Whenever land enters the battlefield, we may gain control of target creature for as long as we control Royal Elemental. Guess what? What if we have a moon copy of it? Because moon is a land, and then so our moon comes in, enters, we get to steal something. Then we have a moon copy of Royal Elemental. Now whenever our moons enter, we get 2 things. We make it more. We're just stealing more of their things that are clones of the Royal Elemental under the moon, and then the moon is stealing you. Is genius. The moons are ramp, just like the ramps to the soundstage where the moon landing was faked because of the Cold War, and we were trying to get up one over on the Russians, and we faked the moon landing. So anyway, threw in a Spellskite in this deck because it's dope, first of all. Also, it already kind of looks like it, but we turn it into a moon. And then when someone tries to hit us with a lightning bolt, we have it redirect to Spellskite, which is now a land. And then the lightning bolt will fizzle because it's a moon. And moon is immune to creature stuff because it's a land and not a creature. So you can just fizzle a lot of removal pretty instantly if they're going to path to exile your guy. No, it doesn't actually. It just hits the Spellskite. Although some things can destroy lands. Anyway, it's a classic bit of misdirection. Just like the hit movie Despicable Me is misdirection for your search engine, because if you type in steal the moon, all you're going to get is Despicable Me, and not the fact that the Anunnaki, aliens from outer space, built the pyramids as beacons to redirect their alien species to go mine gold from our planet. Because anyway, whatever. How do we win? Well, mono blue obviously is the sweaty gamer color, so I'm going to sweat a little bit and do a turn tracker so you guys can see how this deck kind of plays out turn by turn. All right, so turn one, Soul Ring, Mystic Remora, Ruin Crab, or Hedron Crab, because again, we got a lot of lands that are moons, and then the moons mill people out, so it's a chance to mill people. Anyway, we got a couple turn one plays. They're pretty okay. But turn two, we get some ramp. We got a lot of ramp. Sapphire, we got Thought Vessel. We just want a way to make mana because mana's good. And then Fairy Mastermind, we can flash that in if someone's going to draw their second card, and then we draw a card. And then that's also a fun one to turn into a moon, because then we can just, pay 4 mana and draw cards and whatnot. Anyway, I digress. Turn 2 is basically just ramp. Turn 3, though, we can do some fun stuff. First of all, we can play our commander, Princess, if we have the mana for it, which we do. We can also play some other cool setup cards like Nanoform Sentinel. When this creature becomes tapped, untap another target permanent. Only triggers once each turn. That means when we tap it, and if it's a moon, it'll untap another target permanent, which could be a good land or something like that. Or we can reuse tap abilities pretty easily. It's pretty cool. We got Follow Sage, 4 mana. When it becomes tapped, we may draw a card, which is cool, because then when we tap it for moon mana, right, we draw a card. That's pretty cool. We got a Matoya Archon Elder, right? This guy says when you scry or surveil, draw a card, and we, our commander scries too, and that's pretty cool. We draw cards. Drawing cards is good. Also, we got the Kite Sail Larcenist, aforementioned before. He's pretty good. Turn 4, though. This is where we have the Princess Yui out, pretty much for sure by this point, at least. Then we Phantasmal Image, and it comes in, and it becomes a moon. And that's good, because now we just ramped for 2 mana. That's pretty cool. Or we can imprison someone's commander in the moon. Always a good option, because sometimes they got like a hex-proof array they're trying to set up with Sigarda. You know who I'm talking about. How dare you? I'm going to imprison you. But by turn 5, we for sure have Princess Yui. Now we can start cloning and doing shenanigans where our clones come back as moon copies of cool stuff, like other people's commanders, other people's setup pieces, or our setup pieces that we did on like turn 3 and 4. Like Royal Elemental, we can hard cast it now. So now we hard cast it, and then by, next turn, we're making 1 billion Royal Elementals, and it's sick. We can also just hard cast like Sower of Temptation and all those other little stealing things. And I would say, like, at this point, you basically can just gain control of the entire board. And then by that point, you just get a moral victory, because you steal all their stuff, you make a bunch of moons, and that's a better victory than just, beating people to death. You can also mill them out. I don't know. It's a moral victory, just like how the moral victory of getting on the moon first was completely faked because it was on a soundstage in Hollywood and directed by Kubrick because of the Cold War. We're trying to get it. And it was the Anunnaki with the, the pyramids and the beacons and the gold and stuff like that. Although I'm just kidding. Obviously, no one would ever believe. It's completely unbelievable that there's just a freaky, greedy, space-based person who's basically an alien. Anyway, that's the end of the video. It's pretty fun and cool. You turn stuff into the moon. How cool is that? I don't know. It was really fun. I liked the combo, and I was inspired by it. So if you like the video, leave a like. If you subscribe, subscribe. If you want to support me on Patreon, go on there. You can give me free stuff. I also roast commander decks and build custom commander decks all the time on my Twitch, _. Come give me a follow. It's fun, and I live stream pretty frequently. I also got sick playmats for sale on jankmats.com. They look really good in person. Please look at them. They look really nice. And I got a Discord linked in the description down below. Fun and free and cool. Hope to see you there. Peace out.